What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, a fan channel that represents the absolute realist, and this is your daily news fix. We have Sam and Dan on from Red Devils TV. First and foremost, I'll go to you, Sam, and then we'll talk to Dan. How are you doing?
Sorry, I was on mute, so I was checking our stream. Sorry.
No, it's all right. Go for it.
Still full of a cold, but we soldier on and we carry on. So if I'm gonna have to mute myself several times during the stream just to cough and sneeze and do whatever. So apologies.
We don't want no kind of
no, exactly.
Fucking cough balls on a live. No. Are you ill at all, Dan? Or how are you doing? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thank you. I've got the occasional sore throat, so no doubt like it's catching up with me now. I've kind of escaped it over the last month, but I think it's my turn now to get hit by it.
Yeah, it seems to be spreading like fucking wildfire at the minute. There's loads of people I know who are coming down with it. Not myself yet though, so touch wood, no illnesses sort of coming my way. Just before we get into the news, because we are going to discuss Wan-Bissaka, the update from David Ornstein, loads of stuff. But before we get into that, Dan, just chat to me a little bit about, because you started getting into content creation now. You're on YouTube, you've got channel Red Devils TV. Just talk to me a little bit about that, how you kind of got into it and what you aspire, etc.
Well, I started off by having a 6 month job doing like football analytics and data and stuff, and I just thought that I love Manchester United. Let me just be like a fan and let me just like share my opinion and stuff. And then I started Red Devils TV, and I've been doing it for just over a year now, and nearly at 1,000 subscribers. And yeah, just I've been on my own. Technically, I've had the honour of having people like Webber from Webbing O'Neill, Jay Motta as well. They've come down on my channel, and I really appreciate them because I really look up to them guys. They're just amazing in the content world. And yeah, I just appreciate everyone. And obviously, I really appreciate you guys inviting me and having me say on your channel as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about. Spread the love and positivity. Jay's always been about that, and he's helped us out tremendously. Maybe if we do hit that kind of 100k subscriber count, we can look back and honour Jay with a statue outside my house or something. I don't know. But yeah, he's an absolute legend. So we're obviously all here today for one thing, to discuss the latest news around United. It's never a dull day, is it? So we're going to kick things off with the news report that came out. I think it was from the Sun, or it was Sun Man United, so take that for what you will. As soon as I saw that, as we know with that kind of outlet, like utter bollocks. But I'll read it for what it's worth. I'll give you my opinion, and then we'll talk about it. So apparently, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's ownership of Nice could see Man United banned from Europe next season. Now, when people saw this, they're losing the shit, say, "Oh my god, I can't believe this," or whatever, blah blah blah. In my personal opinion, I thought this was the Sun spreading misinformation again. Nice is owned by Ineos, right, which is a organisation owned by Ratcliffe, and the proposal for United was obviously a minority investment of 25% share, which doesn't make him United's owner. The Glazers are still United's owners, and Ineos and United are completely separate entities. So let's just nip that in the bud right there. I think this would only really become a problem if they had the same chairman. So I think Dave Brailsworth is becoming the chairman of United, and I can't remember the geezer's name at Monaco. It's like Jean-Pierre something or whatever. And you also have Leipzig and Salzburg, who are currently playing in the Champions League right now. So just for the Sun newspaper, utter bollocks. Just on the Champions League, Sam, do you think we will actually get into it this season? We're currently 4 points off 5th place, Aston Villa. What are your thoughts on that? Or hopes or potential?
I think we're only in like 5th where we are because Brighton are having a bit of a shit season at the minute. I think if Brighton were on it and they were playing like they were last season, I don't think we'd be anywhere near the spots. I think Brighton would be in that sort of spot where we're at. Form, we've been terrible away from home and at home. So that doesn't give you confidence going forward, does it? We've managed to grind out results, but it's mainly against lesser teams. Like we got battered by City. I think the only team that we looked actually half decent against that's a top team was Arsenal, and VAR sort of screwed us on that one. So if you take into account VAR definitely screwing us at some point during the season again, because it's just continued to for the most of the season. The performances we've had so far, are they going to turn around 180 within the next couple of weeks? I doubt it. The one good thing that could come of this, that could help us with a run into the top 4, is the injuries. Like, there's several players coming back from injury right now. So Luke Shaw is expected to be in the squad, which I can't wait for. I hate that people were so negative about it, like the fact that we got excited that Luke Shaw's coming back and people are negative about a player coming back from
Bizarre,
injury.
isn't it? Very
It is
bizarre.
what it is. Lissandro's training on his own programme. He's back on grass, so that's exciting. Kobe Mainu looks like he's set to get ready, played for under-19s England, so that's good. I think Malassia's back training as well, I believe. So
yeah.
we've got people coming back slowly but surely. Rasmus, I believe Ten Hag, we'll get into the quotes later, said he's a doubt, but he could be available for Everton, so hopefully that's not too long. So we're getting people back. So if we manage to get players back, we get our first choice 11 back and consistent, maybe we can have a little run at it. But if we're going on past evidence and past things happening, I don't see it. I don't see it. I know it's 5th this year, I believe, to be in the Champions League, but I think there's so many good teams. Like Villa look absolutely unstoppable at the minute. They look really, really good. I know they got a hammering by, is it Newcastle? They got beat 5-0 by.
Yeah, that was early on in the season, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they look really, really good. I think Brighton will find some form at some point. I think they will come back. You got Liverpool, you got Spurs. Maybe if Spurs fall off with the loss of Maddison and stuff, you might be able to sort of finagle your way in. But I think there's too many good teams who are playing too well for us to get in, unless we go on an absolute like Ollie type tear. You know, when he came in and we won, was it 14 games in a row?
Yeah.
Unless we have that kind of run, I don't see it. But I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to be wrong.
And of course, that starts as well with the away games when we do get back, which we'll try to talk about a little bit later on. But Dan, you've been going to quite a few of the games yourself. I always see you on Instagram, etc. How would you assess our performances this season, whether that's Champions League or the Premier League, in your personal opinion?
I think very poor for starters. I mean, Sam pretty much covered it all perfectly. You know, we are grinding out results. We are scraping the 1-0s and we are getting the 3 points. And yes, all the points look the same on the board. At the end of the day, we are getting the 3 points and we are in contention of top 4 of this Champions League spots. But at the end of the day, performances, if you actually look at the games, we aren't performing. There's no chemistry between the players. I think, you know, it's 11 individuals out there. You know, we're not playing to other players' strengths. I mean, Bruno Fernandes playing out wide, no service to Rasmus Højlund. You know, the tactics are very questionable at the moment. And I'm Ten Hag in all the way. I'll never say Ten Hag out until it actually goes really, really bad, which I don't think it will, because I describe Ten Hag as a very methodical manager on my channel. And I just think that he is the perfect man to take us forward. And I know a lot of rival fans don't like him and try and criticise him when they can, because we have had embarrassing moments under Ten Hag's regime so far. But as well, we think back to the season before Ten Hag took over, it was our worst points tally in our Premier League history. And I think Eric Ten Hag's done really well to turn this around. You know, like the theatre of nightmares at the moment. It's an absolute circus place at the moment at Manchester United. But on the performances, I just feel like that Ten Hag doesn't know what his strongest 11 is. I mean, I don't know if you guys can agree on what the strongest 11 is, but I think that at least with every position, you can form some sort of debate, and there's no consistency at the moment. And with the injury crisis as well, I just feel like it's just been a massive let down to our start to the season.
It's been an absolute clusterfuck, hasn't it? In regards to a lot of things at Manchester United, and that seems to be, I don't know, it seems to be just a thing that's been happening for the past 10 years now. It seems to be little elements of positivity, but then the rest is covered by utter just madness, which is kind of leads me perfectly into the next bit, because I do want to talk about this update from David Ornstein on the Sir Jim Ratcliffe bid. Of course, we're still waiting for that to actually be officially announced. So David Ornstein has said, I assumed Sir Jim wouldn't be coming in with 25% and sporting control as the end goal. That makes me think there will be a roadmap of sorts, but if so, I'm not sure if that will be formal or not at this stage. The complexity and time it's taken to finalise the initial deal suggest any further steps will take way longer to put in place. Perhaps there is a framework of sorts, but I wouldn't expect to hear anything formal on that for the time being. And remember, United are listed on the New York Stock Exchange, so anything of this nature would need to be notified there first. That said, it's something I'm certain Ratcliffe will be asked about when he speaks publicly. Sam, I know we've been preaching patience with this deal, and we're saying it'll get there. It'd be nice to know the finer details, though, wouldn't it?
It would, but they are under NDAs, aren't they? Like, they're under NDAs, and it's a legal binding contract. And if he does say anything, or someone says something, he can be like taken to court. He'll probably lose the deal, I imagine, and you could be sued for. And there's like several sort of legal complications, like having worked in production and TV and stuff like that under NDAs. Like you can get serious shit for breaking them. So I imagine in business it's the same thing. But yeah, I'd love to know details. A lot of journalists are speculating at the minute, which is understandable.
That's the annoying thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but
it's understandable, but it's also annoying.
And you just have to pay attention to the people who actually have a track record and got credibility, like David Ornstein and people like that. Like, if the Sun is coming out, I know your favourite person, Neil Custard, if they're coming out with shit, probably just take it as absolute bollocks, because normally is. But if people like David Ornstein are coming out, then I would take their educated guess better than most journalists who sort of speak on the situation. Definitely over any Twitter accounts who still believe Qatar are actually trying to buy the club. If you check the state of them out, is fascinating read, by the way. Like, if you got 20 minutes and you're bored on the toilet or something, just go have a look at the Qatari accounts. Like, they're absolutely fascinating. But we will find out when we find out, which I know it sucks. It's annoying because we don't know and we want to know. And we want to know what the plan is and blah, blah, blah. But you just got to accept it. Like, we'll find out when we find out. It could take 3-4 weeks. It could take 3 or 4 months. With the Glazers, I'm going to assume the latter, because they can't make a fucking decision to save their lives. So it's just going to be, it is going to be the way it is. So I think we have to concentrate on what's going on in the pitch at the minute. Like, that's got to be all our focus. We've got to focus on how we can get players playing, players back from injury, find a style and a formation that works, because whatever's going on at the minute isn't working. So I understand people's frustrations, and I understand people going, he's another Glazer and this kind of stuff, but it's out of our control at the end of the day, isn't it? It's out of our control, and we can't do anything about it.
Well, you want to talk about rumours there. Rumour has it that actually Avram Glazer and Joel Glazer are currently watching this right now, cramming turkey in the mouth at Thanksgiving. So yeah, if you are watching, Avram, crack on, mate. Let's get this fucking deal on going, because it's taking
Avram,
a while.
I hope you choke, mate. There you go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's Sam's something. What are your thoughts on this Sir Jim Ratcliffe bid, Dan? How did you feel about it when it first got announced? Was you more leaning towards Qatar? And how do you feel that's finally, getting some kind of close, if you will?
For me, I never favoured Qatar or Sir Jim. It was more 100% sell of Manchester United. That's the way I've always seen it. I mean, I attend the 1958 protests, whether it's 30 of us or like 1,000 of us. I'll still try and attend every protest that I can, and majority of us are in the same minority that it's 100% sale of the club. Now, I personally favoured the Qataris because they were saying 100% ownership. We'll buy out the club, we'll clear the debt, and all the fantasy that they gave us, and we got baited massively. And with Sir Jim, if you actually took a step back and didn't get baited into the excitement, you would have seen that Sir Jim's is actually more valuable due to the fact that he wants 25%, and then possibly as it continues, it'll be more and more and more as the time goes on. So for me, I did want Qatar. I will admit that, because of the 100% ownership. But it doesn't matter if it was Mr. Beast trying to buy Manchester United and he got 100% of the club. As long as that it was 100% of the ownership of the club, that's all I cared about. But with the Sir Jim deal, I mean, Nice, they're doing really well in Ligue 1 this season, but you could argue the fact that's because Sir Jim maybe kind of took a step back away from Nice whilst this Man United process is happening. You never know. So I don't really pay attention to the media, because I don't think that, like you said, with the credible sources, it's really hard to know who to trust. It's all this breaking news. You don't know whether it's credible or a lie. It's all up in the air at the moment. And for me, until I see Sir Jim or Sheikh Jazim or anyone with the head outside Old Trafford saying that they are the shareholder of United, that's when I'll believe it.
Yeah. Well, like Sam said, then there's still fucking Qatari accounts who are reporting about Sheikh Jassim. I mean, I think this Jim thing's pretty much done and dusted. It's just because of how complicated it is, and you have other minority shareholders and loads of people involved in it with the fingers in the pie. It's so much kind of I could just imagine behind the scenes that just like the paperwork and shit is just so fucking detailed, man.
I've mentioned this on live before. Like, I've just bought a house recently, and do you know how long that shit takes? Like it took. I think it took us from like going to see the house and putting the first like offer in to actually getting moved in. It took 10 months. 10 months to buy a house. And that's a house, like that's a thing that people do every single like day. Like people all up across the country. Well, probably not anymore because of the Tory government, but you know what I mean. Like it's a thing people do all the time. So I can only imagine the complexity and the amount of stuff that has to be ratified and checked and double checked and put through different systems to buy. Never mind buy 100% of the club, but buy 25% of the club. Like it has to be astronomical.
Sorry, Sam. What about the Chelsea situation? Because their sale kind of went through really quickly, didn't they? Is that a different situation? Yeah.
That was a government forced sale, wasn't it? Due to the connections with Putin. So after Putin invaded Ukraine, there was found connections between what was his Abramovich. He had connections to Putin, so government basically forced him to sell the club, which meant sale go through because he just wanted it out of his hands and stuff like that. I know there's still things going on with that as well, I believe, because he said he was going to donate the money to charity and he hasn't, to the war effort. So there's some dodgy stuff going on there. But yeah,
what a surprise!
Shock, brother.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can only imagine that the amount of complexities. But people live on the Twitter sphere, don't they? And they just think everything happens now. I think even if Sheikh Jassim would have, if he would have succeeded in his bid, he would have just gone. He wouldn't have just come in and then as he gets announced as new owner and then Monday morning he's buying Mbappe. It doesn't work that way. Like it just doesn't. Like you have to do certain things, take certain steps, assess, research, all that sort of stuff. So I think people need to sort of like be patient with it, man. Be patient.
These things do take time. If you look at the Newcastle one, that took
2 years.
Quite a while.
2 years, I think.
Yeah, almost 2 years. So yeah, the fact it's taken a year, a lot of people who are in the know, like your Ben Jacobs and these kind of guys, will probably say this is just kind of standard procedure. I think it feels longer for Man United fans because of the way the bidding went and the way that things were getting announced. And obviously with it being United, like any kind of update, it was like, boom, oh, now Qatar are winning, boom, oh, now these are winning, and you're getting fucking pulled left, right, and centre like I was. I mean, if you go back over the news shows that I've done covering it, I've covered we've covered every blade of grass that possibly is. So, yeah, it's been a frustrating process, but we move. There's more and more people joining the chat. Please do leave a like on the video for us if you can, and subscribe to the channel and get your opinions in the comment section as well. A little bit quiet today, the comment section was not like you guys, but yeah. Jalmi Malman says, hasn't Wan-Bissaka gotten caps for England? Now, we was just discussing this off air, right? I think what did you say, Danny played for Congo under 18s, was it? Or 15s? Something?
17s for Congo, yeah.
Yeah, and then what was the for under 19s and 21s for England?
Yeah, total 5 caps for both England careers.
Yeah, so he hasn't. I don't think he's had a senior appearance for England, which is the main difference here. And what Ornstein was saying was Wan-Bissaka has received an approach to represent Congo at Afcon. He is yet to decide, but is considering the chance. If he accepts the chance, United would lose him for a spell in early 2024, and the tournament runs from January 13th to February the 11th. Just on Wan-Bissaka, Dan. Do you think he's deserved a chance at England? Because he has got quite a lot of competition there, hasn't he, in front of him?
Yeah. Say that, I mean, for me, Wan-Bissaka's the best one-on-one fullback in the Premier League. I'll stand by that. I think
in the world,
he's absolutely sensational. So, you know, I feel like that, you know, with Southgate, he does like to play very like defensive football. So I am surprised that he hasn't actually made an appearance. But, you know, if you look at the quality that England have in that position, you've got Trent, Kyle Walker, Trippier, you know, only over the last 12 months as well, Wan-Bissaka's been at his best. You know, he's had his good moments, but it's only been over the last 12 months where Wan-Bissaka's actually really adjusted to his game and become a more of attacking-minded fullback. You know, he's been an absolute unit as a defensive right back for years now. Obviously, that's why we bought him from Crystal Palace. But even Wan-Bissaka had his blitz during United. You know, it's not been a massive smooth sailing. But, you know, he does have the odd moment where he does make this long curved tackle that he likes to make his specialty, and he just wins the ball all the time. That meme of that guy where he's bursting into tears and he wins that ball so much.
Yeah.
Stuff like, I do love Wan-Bissaka, but I'm not surprised that he's not had an opportunity in England because Southgate, I mean, he still picks Calvin Phillips and John Henderson, but that says it all really as his favourites. And I think it's very hard nowadays for players to actually get an opportunity to England. So with Wan-Bissaka, I say he deserves a chance, but as well, you've got Kyle Walker, you've got the other names that I mentioned. There is a massive competition in that position.
Yeah, one wouldn't blame him for playing for Congo, to be honest. You obviously want to play international football, and if Southgate ain't giving you a look in, then why not? Why not go there? Shaz, before I ask you a question about Wan-Bissaka, Sam, Shaz Sam's got a good question there, saying, do you think if it was an investment firm buying the 25% likes of Jim Ratcliffe, the reaction could have been different?
I think people were very against when there was like a couple of people floating about when the sort of bidding process happened. Obviously, with Sheikh Jassim, there was Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and then there was that. What was that investment for? Is it Elliott Hedge Fund Management?
Elliott Hedge Fund, yeah.
They were sort of floating about, and people were very against that, weren't they? They were very against minority investment from a hedge fund in particular because it's basically effectively how the Glazers sort of purchased the club using different sort of hedge funds and sort of sporting financial leverage and loans and stuff. So I think people are very against that because it's just basically splitting the pot into more people to take dividends. Glazer's still there, etc. So I think that would have gone down probably worse than Sir Jim. I know a lot of people are not happy about the Sir Jim thing because he's only buying 25% and the Glazers are still there. But I think Sir Jim's realised he has to play the long game to get them out, because if he was to get them out 100% full whack go, he'd have to pay 10 billion, I think like they were saying 6, but then there was like reports from people saying they were looking more at like valuations of 7, 8, 9. So I think to get them out 100% and walk away with no hands on in the pot, I think they were looking at probably 10 billion, and that's how much are they valued on the stock market? Is it 2.5 billion, I believe, on the stock market?
Well,
so
yeah, the market value for him is I think it was 2.5 or 3 billion.
So that's nearly 3-4 times what they're worth. And he's a smart businessman. He's not going to spend. He's not going to drop 10 billion. He's not going to drop 3 times what a market's worth of an entity like Manchester United. Like it's just not business sense. It's just we're all thinking with emotions because we're United fans and we don't have the capital. He does, so he has to think about it business wise and money wise and stuff like that. So, exactly.
Times, isn't it?
So he knew he couldn't compete with the endless pockets of Sheikh Jassim, and Sheikh Jassim wasn't willing to overpay either. Otherwise he would have, because if he has all this money and he'll pay whatever to get it done, he would have just paid it, wouldn't he, and just done it. But he didn't want to overpay. So Sir Jim's got to go, right, I need to think a different way into this, and he's gone the route of 25% investment, take sporting control, and then over the next few years, however long, eventually buy them out. And that's what he's got to. And people are just not happy about it because either they don't understand what he's trying to do, or they're impatient and they just wanted the shiny toy sugar daddy with the fix and just get the 100 million every week spending on Mbappe and whoever else. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. I think he's a very, very smart businessman, and people don't want to admit that because he's won and he's done it.
I have different views on Qatar and different views on Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I think either way, whichever way you look at it, it can go wrong. You can have Qatar come in.
There's no perfect answer.
An Everton job where you spent like 700 million and they're still in the state that they're in at the moment.
PSG.
You could have Sir Jim come in.
PSG.
Exactly. You could do. Sir Jim could come in and do a fantastic job, but look at what, like Dan mentioned before with Nice, their start was they were struggling. I think they're second currently at the moment.
First.
So they're doing really, really well. No, the second. I checked before. The second.
They were. I think
behind.
They were top, weren't they, recently? I believe.
They were top recently, yeah. But I checked earlier on today just to see where they were still at in a second. But still, very good position for Nice. So that's starting to pay off a little bit now. And what he's done in sports in general, with his sailing, etc., and cycling, he seems to have done well. And he has very smart people behind him, and people coming in like Jean-Claude Blanc and these kind of guys. It's what you want. As United supporters, we wanted experts at that level doing the job, being at the best that they possibly could be. So I'm happy with that. I'm willing to give it time, but I'm still not 100% sold on it for me personally yet. Dan, just bringing it back to Wan-Bissaka, long term, how do you feel about him being our starting right back? Would you be happy with that, or would you still look to make another addition?
No, I think that competition for places is the best way to get the best out of your players. I don't think Diogo Dalot's good enough to compete with Wan-Bissaka, so I would look at getting a new right back if the opportunity was there. But I feel like as well, there's also more positions that are needed over the right back position at the moment. I do think that Dalot's all right, but it's clear as soon as Wan-Bissaka came back from an injury, we were straight back at right back, and Dalot was being forced to play left back or was dropped to the bench. And now that Luke Shaw's back, I'll be pretty surprised if is not on the bench. So unless Tenag wants to play Shaw at left centre back because he did play brief there last season. When Martinez went injured. So with Wan-Bissaka, I feel like he is. Like I said, he's one of the best one-on-one defenders, or fullbacks when it comes to them defensive duels. But like I said, competition for places as well. We saw that when Alex Telles came into United, Shaw stepped up his game, and same when Malacia came in last season. And other positions as well. Players seem to step up when they know that their position is no longer guaranteed their spot. So, Wan-Bissaka is up. I think that in becoming in being involved in Tenag's system as well in pre-season when he was in this 3-1-6 formation, he become that wide midfielder almost, or inverted midfielder to join the midfield. And Wan-Bissaka did that job really well because he has the pace to get back. He has the awareness to look over his shoulder and see where his man that he needs to be marking is at all times. So when it comes to his defensive awareness, I think he's top notch. So I have no issue with Wan-Bissaka being our starting right back.
Yeah, I'm a fan of him personally. I also agree with the law. I'm 50-50 on that situation at the moment. Would you echo them thoughts, Sam, or do you think there's a stronger contender to go and get in the market who could possibly take that place?
Yeah, like Dan said, I think there's other priority positions that they're fixing first. But if the money's there and the willingness to go and get a right back is there, then I would definitely, even though I don't see it happening because he signed a long-term deal recently, didn't he, Dalot? Was it a 3-year, 4-year deal or something like that?
Yeah.
So it would seem like he's not going anywhere. But if between the two, if it was like, okay, we need to get one out and get one in, I would get rid of Dalot because Wan-Bissaka offers you something that no other right back in the world has, which is the one-on-one defending. Like, name me another right back that can do what he does. It doesn't exist. So I would keep him because he offers something that no one else has. And then if you want to go,
So who would be your ideal replacement if you could replace if you could replace Wan-Bissaka, like in the world, if you could pick any right back?
Well, we were looking, weren't we? Like when it was rumours that he was going in January before he had his comeback. Frimpong was looked at, wasn't he? And he's a very exciting player. He's very attacking minded, gets forward, overlaps much like Shaw, marauds forward, and he's great crossing ability. Can score a goal. I think did he score like, is it 10 goals or something? I think in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, at the time we was doing the video, it was like 8 goals and 6 assists.
That was it.
But Leverkusen in general have been phenomenal.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. Xabi Alonso has been doing a phenomenal job. But yeah, Frimpong would be the one because then he would offer you that other dimension. I think Dalot is alright going forward. I think defensively he's lacking and he switches off too often. We've seen it throughout the season. He's cost us, I think, 3 or 4 goals by switching off his man behind him or not marking his guy. So if you want, I would keep the Wan-Bissaka. So you've got your defensive option and he's good going forward as well. He's improved so much going forward. Like he did his skin about 2 players as well, like a couple of weeks ago. Like he's got very good at it, which I like to see, man. It's good to see him with his confidence. So I would bring in an attacking type fullback. It doesn't have to be Frimpong, but that kind of level. A guy who's on the cusp of becoming something great. He's not going to cost a fortune. He's an attacking minded player and he might turn into something amazing. That's who we need to be going out for. But knowing United, we'll probably go and try and sign Joe Cancelo on loan or something like that, won't we? Like just stupid decisions and just pay ridiculous wages. So
I do see us shopping in the kind of French league market a lot more now over these next couple of years. I think just naturally with the Sir Jim links, and not only that, if we bring in Paul Mitchell And then not only that, if we bring in Jean-Claude Blanc as well, who was at PSG, I think there's going to be a lot of links to young talents in the French league over the next kind of couple of years. Just my personal opinion, but I think what you both said about Wan-Bissaka is absolutely spot on. I think what I love about Wan-Bissaka is the fact that he just fucking cracks on with it. He don't moan. He don't bitch about anything. You never hear any leaks coming out from him. It's just literally put your head down, work hard, and then he took his opportunity and got back into the team. And literally don't moan about it. He just gets on with it.
Apparently, he's a really boring interview. I think it was McCullough on Paddock was saying he was talking to him. He doesn't give you anything. Like you ask him, he just goes, and that just seems to be who he is. He's just like, we're doing this. That's it.
He reminds me, if Chivy was a footballer, that's what he reminds me. It's like, I don't give a shit, mate. Like, whatever you're saying in the media, I'm just cracking on. So yes, it's a very good trait to have. I want to get into the manager's comments because I think this is something interesting there and I want to pick out. But before I do that, there's quite a lot of comments, so I'm just going to read a couple out. Where are we at? I feel Wan-Bissaka will come good, but come on, at this level, every team needs 2 players for every position. Healthy competition. Absolutely agree with that. Spider-Man on acid, Wan-Bissaka. Dalot got quality, but there's something not quite right with him. It's weird with Dalot, isn't it? Because he had that period under Ragnick where he was probably one of our best players, like hit form perfect there. Then it was times under Ten Hag where you thought he was favoured and he was good, he was young, you could still mould him. Mourinho said he'd be the next Gary Neville for us. Like, a lot of coaches seem to rate him, but for whatever reason, I absolutely agree with defensively. He's just, especially at the back post. What was our last game? Was it
Copenhagen?
No, it was Luton, wasn't it? But yeah, the Copenhagen game where it was at the back post a couple of times, wasn't it? And we got fucking murdered.
Well, Ronaldo, when he went on that tirade on Piers Morgan, he sort of name dropped, like, was it 2 players? And Dalot was one of them, wasn't it? He was like, the only ones who've got any work ethic is Dalot and Lissandro. That's the only ones. Yeah. So he clearly works hard behind the scenes. He clearly puts the effort in and does the work, which is probably why he keeps getting picked. It's probably why people like Scott McTominay get picked all the time, because he just, behind the scenes, he just 100% everything, but he may not have that next level ability, but that's why he gets picked.
Henry Jones, as always, in the chat with the stats. Love that, Henry. Saying, Frimpong, 11 games, 3 goals, 5 assists. That's this season. I think at the time when we speak about Frimpong, it was last season. So he's on track to do similar record, which is fantastic. He's been great for Leverkusen. Charlie Malman says, there is one thing that worries me with Erik ten Hag, his latest statement that he wants a squad of 12 to 14 players. Is he a madman? We play about 45 games a year. Well, he has been criticised before when he was at Ajax for not rotating as much as he should and being stubborn in certain situations. But we'll just dive into the quotes anyway, because that is one of them, and then we'll talk about it. So he was saying, in terms of our performances, we're creating a lot of chances, and there will come a moment when we score more easily, and we are more clinical in front of goal, and then wins will come more easily. We have a strong belief that we will win games if we match the standards of our way of play. As long as we do that and stick together, we will win games. The base standard is always the way you play. When you don't play well, you won't win games. You have to match certain rules and principles to get that typical way of playing. And we now hope, and this is the quote that Charlie was alluding to, we now hope that more or less we can stay with the same lineup or with 12 to 14 players who are constructing this lineup. I think so far that is our difficulty. And when you look at last season, Dan, do you think that was kind of a pillar of our success, the fact that we did have Lissandro and Varane playing consistently together, and we did have a midfield of Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno more so and often, sorry, and then the front three you could kind of guess as well. Do you think that was a pillar of our success last season?
I would say so, but I could also say that, a lot of teams did drop off last season, your Chelsea's, your Liverpool's, and you could even, like, it was mainly just Arsenal and City that were winning constantly. Each team at some point last season had a blip moment, and the teams that we're looking at this season, your Spurs, your Villas, Liverpool again, and they're all back now, and we're like obviously trailing behind a little bit, but yeah, I still think there was flaws last season. I mean, I still think Eriksen's a massive defensive liability. I like Eriksen. I think he's one of our best creative, not best. I think he is the best creative player we've got, but he can only play for like 20 minutes. He gasses out. I know he died a few years ago, but he's still kicking about. But with Eriksen, I think that we got very lucky last season, and all of a sudden, we're back in the Champions League. Everyone expects us to compete with City again. I mean, it's crazy. And like I said before in the stream, that like Ten Hag's season before the Ten Hag, we had our worst finish in the Premier League, and I think there's still a lot of players who contributed to that season are still here and still slacking. There's a lot of change that still needs to happen. I mean, Ralph Rangnick said it best about the team still needs open heart surgery, and the team needs 10, 11 new players. And we have had a lot of signings under Ten Hag, but not every signing is going to be a guaranteed success. I mean, you look at Anthony, you look at like Ericsson as well. I mean, Ericsson's done a bit of a job for us, but he's not the future. So, I feel like that we got lucky last season is how I'd put it.
That's interesting, Sam, because I feel like consistent options have been a mega issue for us. So I get in the point, if you kind of read between the lines, about having that selection of 11 so you can have that repetition and chemistry. But at the same time, like Charlie says, it is important that you use your squad as much as you can, because we have got good players, but we can't find that, that chemistry at all, can we?
I think the team is still a bit of a sort of jigsaw puzzle, but it's like 4 different puzzles, because we've still got people in this team who Jose signed, who is all Louis van Gaal's people gone now?
Martial and Shaw.
Martial and Shaw. You got Van Gaal's there, you got Ollie's there, and now you've got Ten Hag's there, and it's not been built under one manager for a consistent amount of time. Like you saw under, I hate to use Liverpool, but it's a good example. Klopp came in, finished 7th. Was it his first season? Or 9th? Is it lower?
Yeah, I think you're round about there, somewhere around there.
And then he sort of ditched about 4 or 5 players, and then the next year he finished, I think, low again, ditched another bunch of players, and then he started signing these not unknown talents, but sort of lower risk talents for a decent amount of money. So the likes of Salah, James Milner came in. They got Alisson. Obviously, they paid a lot of money for him. But did anybody know anything about Alisson before he came in? I didn't. And he's
not for the price they paid anyway. It was quite.
Now he's the best goalkeeper in Europe, arguably. So they signed smartly, and then since then they've replaced smartly as well. So they lost Mane. Who did they bring in? They got Luis Diaz. They got Jota, who are fantastic players. They've rebuilt their midfield this season. You got that Szoboszlai, who I think is a phenomenal player. He has got something special, that guy. Yeah. McAllister's not quite worked, but he is playing out of position. So I get that. I think once they get a DM, I think they'll be off to the races. You've got Arsenal, who are the same. He was at 8th his first season, I think, Arteta. And then they were getting Arteta out and all this sort of stuff. And they wanted him out of the club. And he slowly built a team. He's got rid of the likes of Aubameyang. He's got rid of different people, and he's been sort of lethal and brutal with his selections. Like you saw, he was Ramsdale. He was arguably one of their better players last season. He was like, nah, not good enough. Done. Raya in, and now Ramsdale's dad's kicking off about it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like he's made decisions.
On that, Sam. Sorry to think it on that. I don't think Ten Hag has that power, does there, to make that decision to say, I want this player gone.
I think he does. I think he does to an extent. He got rid of Ronaldo. Ronaldo's gone. Like, he talks shit.
Well, that was a surprise, to be fair. But he's gone. Ronaldo forced his hand with that interview.
Yeah, but that's what it'll take. They've backed him. He got rid of him. I think under any other manager, had Ronaldo done that, I don't think he would have gone. I think they would have got rid of the manager. I think under Ollie or something like that.
Situation as well, don't you, from this
Sancho. So I think they need to back this guy, but get him. Take the responsibility of the selection and transfers and all that sort of stuff. Take that away from him, because he needs a team around him. The reason he succeeded at Ajax was because of the team around him, Overmars and Van Sar. The reason Arteta is successful to an extent, he's not won fuck all, but he's got Edu in that position. Liverpool, they had was it Michael Edwards, the guy they had previously? They've got a built system around them. City, Tiki Bergestein and all that sort of stuff. They've got a system built so the manager could just concentrate on coaching the players, tactics and all that sort of stuff. That's what we need, and I think if we get that and give him time, he'll get success. But whether he gets that or not is another thing.
Charlie Malman saying, didn't the Glazers block both McTominay and Maguire going to West Ham? That was one I was alluding to. I was trying to think off the top of my head before. Them two in particular, Maguire should have been allowed. I know Maguire's playing well now and people make of it whatever. But Maguire should have been allowed to go, and Tadibo, someone like a Tadibo should have been brought in. Or likewise, if McTominay's going, someone else should have been brought in. So yes, he's been given reign with certain players, like the big players, especially De Gea, Ronaldo, etc. But there's other ones as well, like, and I think that's something that Sir Jim Ratcliffe will address, to be honest. I think he will come in.
With wages as well, though, isn't it? Because we put these players on insane wages.
Yeah.
When it does come time to, right, we need to get these players out of the club, nobody wants to buy them because nobody wants to pay them the wage. And obviously, the players are like, well, I'm on this. I'm not taking a wage drop. Like, why would I? I'm going to carry on here because I don't have to leave. You can't force me to go. I'm not broke the contract. So that's what happens. That's why Martial's been here for 9 years. 9 fucking years. Yeah. Why is he still here? Like, I don't want to insult the guy. Like, I'm sure he's like, but why is he still here? He's 9 years, man. Like, he's not made it yet. Well, he's not making it.
It'll be starting on the weekend if Højlund's still injured. So that'll be interesting.
Fucking hell. I don't think he will. You know, I think Rashford will play through the middle, and like it'll be Garnacho and Antony in the team.
Potentially, but Rashford is a 9. Like, he's been in shit form on the left as it is.
I know.
Against Everton at Goodison Park, Rashford is a 9. That ain't it. I'd rather play Martial, to be honest, but it just depends how long you can get out of him and how many sprints he can do before he...
The thing is with Martial as well is that I read somewhere that when he turned 21, his mum died, and you know, obviously, like so many people, like if we all lost our mothers tomorrow, we'd all be distraught, and
yeah,
like I think it affects certain players, and maybe that's when Martial's form kind of started to dip or something. I'm not too sure, but you know, he's built like a Poppadom at the same time, so yeah,
I think. You know, as people forget the human side of it, and Chivy kind of mentions that quite a lot, even when we're talking about Jadon Sancho and these kind of things. Eriksen, we mentioned before, who obviously died on a football pitch. There is things that go on behind closed doors that a lot of people don't know about, so obviously you take that into context. But I think it'd just be better in general, just for him to move on to another club. I think to get playing time, to maybe go to a different league where it's not as intense and you can play consistently. Surely he would be more happier doing that.
Yeah. There's so many players like that, like Donny. Like, why is Donny still here, man? Like, honest to God, like, he's a great lad. I'm sure, like, when he was at Ajax, he's a fantastic player. He can't cut it at United. Why is he still here? Like, he needs to go.
Well, whilst we're on squad selections, the last thing I want to do is, in your opinion, so Dan, I'll start with you first. What is our best starting 11 right now, do you think? If everyone's fit.
Everyone's fit. Oh, right. I'd go for Onana in net, obviously. I mean, I just want to quickly brush on Biendia as well, because a lot of the coaching staff really rate Biendia, and that's probably why it's alluding to why Onana's so like debating whether to go to Afcon or not, because Biendia is such a quality keeper. You know, people say like describing like Romero for we had a few seasons ago. You know, so maybe that's one of the reasons why Onana's like fearful for going to Afcon. But no, I'd keep Onana in net, Wan-Bissaka at right back, Varane and Martinez and Shaw as the back line. The midfield is a tricky one. Now, I think Casemiro is brilliant, so I would play Casemiro there, and as well as McTominay. I think McTominay's in really good form, and he's a bit of a knob but does the job, McTominay. I mean, you see what he does for Scotland. I feel like as well that his form this season as well. It's just frustrating to say with McTominay, because another player should have been moved on ages ago. But you know, I do feel like he has gone into good form at the moment. And then I would play Mason Mount in the midfield as well. And I would put Bruno on the left wing, which you might think is a bit crazy, but I see him when he plays for Portugal. He kind of has like a free role type thing. And when Portugal in this transition, they kind of go to a 4-2-2 side where they have like 2 number 10s doing all the attacking for the forwards. And then I would have Rashford and Højlund as my front 2 mainly. That's the way I'd set up anyway, but I feel like with Bruno having that free role where he is at his most dangerous, that's when I think you get the best out of Bruno. But that'd be my favourite starting 11. But again, I like Palestri as well, but you know, it's hard to choose because you don't know what the actual system is that Tanag wants to play at the moment, and it's just all over the place.
Yeah, Sam, how would you see what's your, from what you've seen this season specifically, what is the best 11 in your opinion?
I think there's several positions that are like I don't feel confident in any of them
Yeah,
being in
yeah,
that, like being my number one pick. Like Onana is in there because I think he has updated it. I think he has come up since his like shaky start at the beginning. I think he has
yeah.
made some important saves since then. And he hasn't really made a mistake since the which was it, the Fulham game where he made the mistake?
No,
Which what was
because
the
we won
last?
1-0 against Fulham. It might have been Galatasaray, was it?
Was it
I feel.
Galatasaray the last one? Because he
I
made
think so. Yeah.
it was the penalty save was the kind of the turning point, wasn't it? The penalty save against
Oh,
Copenhagen that sort of like
yeah.
shocked him into life, and he started like making some really good performances since then. I think Shaw's our best left back when he's on form, and I think hopefully with Malacia pushing him, he stays on sharp. I think Varane on his day has something, but like, can you rely on his injury at the minute?
Here's a question for you,
Like,
Sam. Who's been the better centre back this season, Varane or Maguire?
I think the big,
Evans.
I think yeah, I think the beginning of the season, I think it was Varane. I think he was our best player, wasn't he? At the beginning of the season, that first sort of 5-6 games, I think Varane was fantastic. He scored as well, didn't he? So
Yeah, yeah.
I think he was the better one. But then since his injury, Maguire's come in. Maguire's been a better one, so you can't. It's kind of a toss up at this point. Um, Lissandro, and then the other centre back thing, I think we need to buy. I don't think we've got one there that I would feel 100% confident. I don't feel 100% confident with Varane because he's going to get injured. I don't feel 100% confident with Maguire because if we want to play transitional football and play with a high line, I don't trust him. And then right back, I would go with Wan-Bissaka because I think he offers more quality than Dallo, but I think both of them could be upgraded on. The only other position that I would nail down totally is Højlund up front. Every other position I think is up for grabs. Every other Casemiro has been poor. Amrabat hasn't settled yet. I don't know quite what he's trying to do with him. Mount been poor for the most part, but obviously he's had injuries and stuff like that. So Bruno's been definitely off the pace by a huge margin. Rashford has been terrible, like utterly terrible. Garnacho, he's tried, bless him, like he has tried, but he hasn't hit it like he hit it a couple of weeks ago, a couple of years ago, like when he first broke into the team. And then that right hand side is just cursed, isn't it? It's like Anthony, terrible, and he's got his outside issues. Sancho has just decided I'm not doing it anymore. And then the guy we won't name he was the future option. He's fucked up his entire life. So it's just like that right hand side's cursed. So it's just like I don't have confidence in any of those positions at the minute. I really don't.
What about Ahmad or Palestra? Would you give them a run out? I mean, I know Ahmad's almost coming back, but it's just
Yeah,
the consistency.
I'd give Ahmad an opportunity because he's the only one who's not had one yet. And he tore it up at Sunderland, looked really, really good. I would give him the opportunity because Palestri's had an opportunity, Anthony's had an opportunity. They've all had opportunities, so I would give him that. And then Kobe Mainu, he would be the one I'd put in that midfield somewhere. I'd make a spot for him somewhere, whether that's Scott McTominay's or Casemiro's, I don't know, but I'd make a spot for him somewhere. And then, yeah, give Ahmad a chance. I think Palestri is lacking a little in the physicality sense. I think he can get forward. He's very quick. He puts balls into the box, but when he gets like sort of out muscled by a full back or a centre back, he's very weak and he gets shoved off the ball too easily, and he's quite slight. So I think that's where he sort of struggles. So I think, yeah, it's tough, man. I couldn't name you an 11. It's really, really tough.
That's why I asked the question, because I thought it'd be quite hard to construct an 11, to be fair. Well, we won't be seeing Palestri on the weekend anyway, because he's injured now, apparently. So that's another injury to add to the list. I think there's literally a handful of players left before we've actually had every single player in the team who's picked up an injury or an absence or some form of illness. So, yeah, that's been the reoccurring theme for the whole season, to be fair. I'm going to leave that question to the viewers in the chat. What is Man United's best starting 11, and who do you think has been the better centre-back overall this season, Harry Maguire or Raphael Varane? I'll leave that as food for thought. Dan, what are you up to this week? Obviously, we've got Everton at the weekend. What are your plans? Are you going to the game? What are you up to?
No, I'm not watching the game. I mean, where I live in Manchester, there's a festival going on Saturday. I might attend there. It's like the Christmas lights switch on the main road, and might go to that. But Liverpool and City are on as well, so no doubt that'll be a very good game to watch as well. So I might tune into that, and then obviously the game on Sunday for United and Everton. But no, I'm not going to the away game.
Yeah, and just want to just plug your channel and your socials, etc.
Oh yeah, Red Devils TV on YouTube, and yeah, thank you for having me. You might have to search Red Devils TV MU at the end of it, because when you search it, Red Stretford Paddock comes up. You have to scroll a bit down to find me. So,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Inconvenience, Jay. You arsehole.
We've linked it.
Somewhat.
We've linked it in the description anyway, so if you can't, just
really
go to our
appreciate that,
description. It's in there. Just click that. It makes it a lot easier rather than having to search it.
Yeah, Sam, any plans this weekend at all?
No. As you know, I've moved into a house, so I've got more furniture to build. It's never ending. There's just a pile of massive boxes.
You must have about 9 fucking wardrobes in there. And I swear every time I speak to you.
No, it's not a wardrobe this time. Like I've built 2 wardrobes, a coffee table, a TV stand. Like I could go on forever. Like, I've got so much more to do, bookcases and God knows what else. So that would be me watching football and building furniture. That would be my weekend.
Well, hopefully Everton I can build a squad for this weekend, because it's gonna be a tricky one in it on Sunday at Goodison Park.
Oh,
absolute.
And I will be here for the review as well on Sunday with you.
Yeah. Well, we've got the preview. We're on Thursday today, right?
Yeah.
Just double check.
Preview tomorrow.
Yeah. Preview tomorrow. We've got an Everton fan on. He's been on the channel before, Alex. Very insightful, very knowledgeable. So that's going to be super interesting speaking to him about the points deduction, how he feels going into this game, and just United overall in general, his outside thoughts on that. So Alex will be on with us tomorrow discussing the game. We'll have something on Saturday, maybe a bit of a pre-recorded show, and then Sunday you've got the pre-match build-up and the post-match review as well, which Sam will be on. So yeah, Dan, thank you for coming on, and we'll have you on again at some other point. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed it, and Sam, as always as well, thank you for being alongside me, and the guys in the chat, big up. You're all a bunch of legends. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Cheers, Dan. Thank you.
We want to blaze out, and we want to blaze out. We want to blaze out, and we want to blaze out. We want to blaze out, and we want to blaze out.